We are here coming to you live.
The Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. You only win a Super Bowl 2 times every 5 years, right? Oh!
The warm-up act is over. Let's bring in Melissa Etheridge, massive Chiefs fan. Melissa.
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score! And we'll see you next week, but until then, as always, go Chiefs.
What in the Space Jam is going on? It's like the Jets and Zach Wilson stole the powers ever since the safety on, which, by the way, that safety, I'm still a little murky on the actual rules, but it sounds like should not have been a safety, should have been down on the one. I know the refs have not been good. They have been 2 scoops of ass, but let's not try and get it twisted. The Chiefs should still be hammering this Jets team. We have not seen Zach Wilson play like this in his career, and quite frankly, I don't know if we've seen Patrick Mahomes play like this in his career. I'm not trying to overreact, but those are 2 of the worst throws I have seen from Patrick. I saw a good note in here before we went live here, Joe. Ever since the Jets switched from zone coverage to man coverage, the Chiefs wide receivers have struggled to get open, and when they do, Rashee Rice had a big drop. I want to get your thoughts here before I keep rambling, but Joe, this has been a very intriguing situation where the Chiefs started out hot on both sides, and then, man, did they cool off.
Yeah, and there's, I guess, 2 frames of thought. The first is that, okay, Mahomes is having the worst half we've seen from him since probably the Bengals AFC Championship game, and Zach Wilson is having the best half that we've ever seen from him, and we're still up 8. So, given that, feel decently there. The missed field goal, the doink off the upright saved the first half cover. So that was nice. But on the other hand, it looks sloppy. The defense doesn't look as good as it did previously, and that's a little bit disappointing, though. I think part of that is because Garrett Wilson's awesome, and then part of that was losing the momentum with the safety. Pat looks off. I don't know what the reason is, but some of the mistakes are just silly ones. And then you had the miscommunication between him and Kelsey that we don't see typically. Really encouraged by the first half from Pacheco. This is one of his best games, over 120 combined yards from scrimmage now. Kelsey, I want to see get more involved. But very so-so, though. The big positive for me is Pacheco's play.
Yeah, I mean, Isaiah Pacheco has been outstanding, obviously ripping off that very long 48-yard touchdown run, 8 carries for 84 yards. Clyde actually looked like he had a little juice on one of his carries. I don't know why. We've seen this a lot with Andy Reid. I'm not trying to say I know more than Andy Reid. Dude has 2 rings, okay? Don't get this twisted right here. Andy knows more than us, obviously. Point is, they're being really effective on the ground, and they're also been very effective with these short passes to Isaiah Pacheco. That was at a 13 personnel. Right? That 13 personnel screen pass to Isaiah Pacheco was great, but then they go away from that, and they've tried to force the ball too much downfield. I don't know what the infatuation is with trying to hit the home run, with trying to hit the big play, because the Chiefs have actually been very effective when they were taking what is given to them in front. I don't know your thoughts here, Joe, but it seems like they're making it harder on themselves.
It seemed like once we got up, and we've seen this from this Chiefs team and Pat before, build a huge lead and then kind of start messing around and not maybe take it as seriously. Like the first interception he threw, where he immediately saying, "My bad," that looked like a focus thing. The miscommunication with Kelsey, it seems like his focus was a little bit off, and then he struggled to get it back at the end of the half there. I want to see us come out and get Pacheco more involved, frankly, especially early. If Pat's going to be a bit off, we don't want him to force it. Let's get back out in front and take it easy a little bit, and then let him get some easy throws. I do want to see a little bit more of Tony. He broke those 2 tackles. I thought he was going to get hurt again. I was a little bit scared of that. But I also want to see a little bit more of a finishing ability from the defense. The tackling hasn't been at a very high level at this point. So I think that they're going to come out refocused, because they came out really good and then lost it, like you said.
Yeah, just let's put this in perspective here right now. We know there's a couple calls that have gone against Kansas City, and we're not going to try and blame the refs, because that is a losing battle. That's a loser's mentality in my mind. But Patrick Mahomes is 8 for 16, right? 50% completion. He's thrown 2 interceptions, and the Chiefs are still up 8. Okay, let's try and put some perspective into this. They had an electric first quarter. They had a absolute brutal second quarter. Zach Wilson, again, is looking good. Got to tip my hat because even for what he's done so far, some of the plays could have been made. He missed a Garrett Wilson in the end zone. Tyler Conklin actually had a dropped touchdown, right? You had Greg Zuerlein hit a doinker, right? And then you also had Michael Carter, who could have had an easy first down and drop a ball. So you can take some positives, take some negatives. End of the day, Chiefs are still up 8 here at halftime. On the defensive side of the ball, how concerned are you with the cornerbacks? Because they have seemingly been lost out there. I love Trent McDuffie. He's played fairly well, but he did get burnt. I know people are saying it's the turf, this, that, and the other. He got burnt about 3 times on that single play from Alan Lazard. L'Jarius Sneed has been a little bit up and down in this one. What have you seen from the Chiefs secondary?
I'm not overly worried about it because I think part of it is that Garrett Wilson is one of the best receivers in the league and he's a stud. And then I do think that there was a bit of loss of focus. I think they took their foot off the gas a little bit, particularly when the Jets started throwing well. And I've watched enough Zach Wilson, and I know that they have watched a lot more Zach Wilson film than I have. I don't think that they've seen that first half Zach Wilson on film. I bet that they were a little bit surprised by some of the throws that he was making, the placement and his mobility when things were breaking down. He handled the pressure well, and I didn't expect him to. I wonder if the secondary was a little bit surprised as well, and if we see some adjustments in the second half.
Yeah, I know I was talking pregame. I said the way to beat this Jets, and you mentioned as well, is through the tight ends and through the running backs. The Chiefs were doing that early on, obviously with Travis Kelce, obviously with Isaiah Pacheco, and including Isaiah Pacheco in the pass game. Not only that, who said Noah Gray, baby? The Noah Gray touchdown coming in clutch right there. But the Chiefs need to go back to this because the cornerbacks for the Jets they're very, very talented, right? I know the Chiefs wide receivers have struggled to get separation in previous games. You're going to struggle even more when you go against man coverage with DJ Reed, with Michael Carter II, not the offensive running back, the defensive Michael Carter II. Yes, there are 2 on the Jets, and then obviously Sauce Gardner. If you're going to play man coverage against those guys, the Chiefs wide receivers, you got to look more towards Noah Gray, Travis Kelce, and dumped it off to the running backs. I don't know your thoughts here, but how much more do you think we'll see that in this second half?
I hope that we see a fair bit more, especially early as they try to establish some rhythm. And just like we saw in the game against the Lions, and we saw a couple times in the first half, it's a good opportunity for Mahomes to start scrambling and run around. We know that he can. And if they're going to play a bunch of man coverage, it's going to create holes for him to attack the middle. So Kelce only sitting with 3 catches at this point. It's obviously not the game that he's wanted to have. I think that we're going to look at him in the middle. And then Pacheco, I expect to see a healthy dose of him. But I want to see McKinnon as well because he's tailor-made to exploit some of those pass-catching lanes in the flat and over the middle. And Pacheco has done excellent, 42 receiving yards, but it seems like an opportunity for McKinnon to create some separation out there too.
Yeah, I've seen some folks in the chat right here talking about, the pass rush has struggled. They were surprised by Zach Wilson's mobility. I should say, don't be surprised by Zach Wilson's mobility. Mobility was the one reason why I said I don't know how the Jets can move on from Zach Wilson and bring in a Matt Ryan or these statuesque quarterbacks back there because the offensive line obviously is not great for the Jets. The one thing Zach Wilson does have going for him is his strong arm and his mobility. You saw it in this one. George Karlaftis coming close to a sack multiple times here. The pass rush is trying to get after him. Obviously, Chris Jones brought him down to finish out the first half. What do you think of the pass rush from Kansas City, the game plan from Steve Spagnuolo and the design blitzes? What do you think is going to continue here?
Well, I think we're going to continue to see Chris Jones wreak havoc up in the middle. We saw it early, and then even when Karlaftis almost had his sack, and then the sack at the end of the half. And Chris Jones has had some flashes, and I think that he's going to unlock everything for the rest of the defense. I want them to put a little bit more emphasis on containing Zach Wilson. I think he's going to be running around a bit, and he made some really nice plays out of structure there. But we need to see this defensive line finish some of these tackles, finish some of these sacks. They have to this point in the season, so I'm willing to chalk it up as an aberration. But Karlaftis in particular can use it as a learning experience because he's having a stellar year. And if you keep creating those pressures, keep giving yourself opportunities, then you're going to finish them at some point.
Yeah, again, the Chiefs are up 8 after a poor performance in that second quarter. Again, normally the Chiefs in previous seasons, the second quarter has been their elite quarter. That's the one where they popped off for 28 points against the Raiders. Second quarter is normally Kansas City's. But let's see if it's the Chiefs' second half that is the Kansas City Chiefs and belongs to them. All right, what do you see coming out? Final score prediction, what do you have?
Final score prediction. So I think we're going to come out more focused in the second half. I'm going to say that we get 34, and the Jets, I'll give them a field goal. I'll say Jets get 15. I think it's going to be a more focused effort, more akin to what we saw to start the game than in the half.
Yeah, if you guys want to bet on the second half, please go to DraftKings and use our code Arrowhead. If you place a $5 first bet, you instantly claim $200 in bonus bets, up to $150 back in bonus bets if your team loses. Again, code Arrowhead at DraftKings. New customers only who are 21 plus and physically present in legal gambling states. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. Check the episode description for the full terms of the offer to see if you qualify. All right, let's get back out to the second half. I'm going to go ahead and say, calm down. The Chiefs are going to get these pass rushes that are getting pressure, that Zach Wilson keeps escaping. I think eventually it's going to wear down. I think the Chiefs get a couple sacks here in the second half. I expect better things from the corner. McDuffie, I know he fell down. You can say he fell. You can say he got burnt. End of the day, we've not seen that much from McDuffie all season long. I expect him to bounce back. And I do expect a little heavier dose of 12 personnel, Noah Gray, Travis Kelce, as well as Isaiah Pacheco, getting him more involved in the pass game. Yes, a little more screen passes to Isaiah Pacheco. That's what I see coming away with a Chiefs victory. Everyone, thank you guys so much for hanging here for the halftime show. We'll be back post-game following, hopefully, a Chiefs victory. Until then, we are out.